I will go into the no-self after the meditation. And going back now to the practice of peace with a cause, I mentioned 3 aspects of that, which could be a bit of a sequence, not necessarily. Yeah, so there's the grounding, and here important to find resources, which work for you. And I will just give you an example of one possible practice. And always remember, I'm not expecting that this is useful for everyone. Yeah? So it's not like, oh, you should do this. It's more like an offer, and then you try it, and then either you find it, I want to explore this. I think that would be helpful for me, or you immediately feel, no, this is really completely useless. I don't get it, or So that's also then an insight. I hope I say something useful during this weekend, so that something which is helpful for you. Then it would have been worth to come here. So the practice is the practice of growing roots into the earth. So in this meditation, I will invite you to imagine to grow roots into the earth and breathe in through the roots. And then the second aspect was the embracing. And we will skip that this time. Then another aspect is the gladdening of the heart. And with the gladdening of the heart, I want to repeat the loving kindness meditation connected with peace. So like we did in our first meditation, may this being be in peace. You can also try how it feels when you say, may I be in peace. Is there a difference for you? So you play with that. And for some people, it's easier to have a wish for well-being to another person. So that's why we will a bit alternate between may this being be in peace, may my son be in peace. And maybe you can connect more easily with the warmth when you think about another person, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's about finding doorways into the warmth of your heart, and then experimenting if there's a possibility to bring that warmth you might have towards your cat, towards your children, towards your partner, towards a friend, if this can be kind of redirected also to this being. Yeah. So let's go a bit of a journey. Just in your posture, with some alertness, but the most important thing is relaxation or friendliness. And then you again notice this shift from doing to being, from the head into the body, from past and future into being here. And it could be helpful to lightly place attention to the flow of the in and out breath. Obviously, if there's something strong in the foreground of your experience, then you make that which arises, you make that what is in the foreground. Maybe slightly breathing into that with the in-breaths, and then with the out-breath, giving space, letting go of the control freak, the meditator, letting go of the need to feel good. And the thoughts come and go like the cars outside. They have their own life, the cars outside. It would be madness to try to control them. Same is true for your thoughts. So how is the inner weather? You make a backward step into the witness consciousness. Returning and resting. And then I invite you with the next out breath to grow roots into the earth, into the Scandinavian earth. And then you breathe in through these roots, the air of the ocean, the land, the forests. So with each out breath, you grow deeper into the earth. Centimeters, meters, 100 meter, 200 meters, 300 meter, deeper and deeper. And then you breathe in through these roots. Refreshing, nurturing air which fills your body. So if you struggle with that, just try it a while and then you let it go. But if it makes sense, with the out-breath, growing roots into the earth, Scandinavian earth, and with the in-breath, breathing in through the earth, nurturing, refreshing air, filling your body, fresh, rich. The air of the ocean, of the forests, of the lakes. And even deeper, grow the roots even deeper into the earth. With the out-breaths. Feeling the calmness of the earth. And then with each in-breath, breathing in the fresh, calm, rich air. The earth of your ancestors. The earth of your home. The earth which gave birth to this body. Maybe you can even go deeper into the earth. And breathing in through the roots. Feeling the earth in your body. noticing the calm and the fertility of the earth. Noticing how the earth carries you. And let yourself be carried. Each layer of your body is perfectly supported by the earth. And then you rest. In peripheral awareness, there's other things happening, coming and going, thoughts, sounds. But you emphasize earth. Meditating like earth. And breathing in space. The space of the ocean, of the land. And then you rest. So that is a practice of grounding. And now gladdening the heart. May this being be in peace. May this being experience peace. May there be peace for this being. May my children, my son, my daughter, experience peace. May they be in peace. And if you do this for another person, see them in peace. How do they look like when they are in peace? May my mother, my father experience peace. May they be in peace. Just let some people appear and wish them peace. May you discover the peace without a cause. May you discover the peace without a reason. And then you turn back to this being. May peace be revealed to this being. May this being experience peace without reason. Please, peace, I know you are here, the center of my heart. Please reveal yourself. I'm ready. Please, peace, talk to me. I'm listening. Please, angels of peace, show yourself. And then you rest. May this being a source of peace. May this being radiate peace. May there be peace. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May there be peace. So this is a very good practice also to do in the lying down posture. It is also a good practice for doing while walking. And so that you can come up with your own variations. One very helpful technique here would be to become aware of your feet during the day. Turn attention to your feet. You're moving the feet, softening the feet. Feeling the aliveness in the feet. And then remembering to do it. And that remembering happens through a repetition, to familiarity. So initially, sometimes it makes sense to have a kind of formal practice to install a habit. And then slowly you will notice that throughout the day, your mind will naturally go to the breath or to the feet or to a sense of groundedness. And for the gladdening the heart, I mean, in a way it's, sometimes I feel kind of embarrassed to talk about this cheesy, basic mindfulness practices, but they are just sometimes helpful. Yeah? So one way to gladdening the heart is to notice beauty. Obviously the beauty is not in the things, but realizing that beauty is not in the things but in the eye of the beholder doesn't take away the beauty. These flowers, they are not beautiful from their own side, but they remain to be beautiful when you look at them. And we all have heard this countless times. I'm just here to remind you. Yeah, so that. So what's and then. So what is gladdening your being? What is it? What you appreciate? Touch, sound. Something new in my life is that I started to enjoy cooking. I always hated it. I'm still known as the worst cook of Nalanda Monastery. That's what people remember of me. And And of course it doesn't work, like to say to yourself, yeah, I should enjoy cooking. Yeah? Um, I mean, it took me like 20 years, and suddenly it happened. Just being present with cooking, not doing the cooking to get it done. And if you enjoy cooking, then you also start to enjoy buying good ingredients for the cooking. Obviously, you are going to buy organic stuff. I mean, grown in a good way. I mean, you are not going to enjoy cooking industrial pig meat. So that's like the, for some is, as I mentioned already, the cat videos, and I say it a bit jokingly, but there is something there. For some it is music. And then also trying to let go of the things which are not doing that for you. Social media. Just put your smartphone on mute all the time. Using the smartphone and not being used by it. It's simple things, and the sky, yeah? Nature, of course, is always, for most people, the place to go. Other people, wow. They are also beautiful. Playing children. Notice children playing. Stuff like that. I have a long list on saved videos on my Facebook about babies. So instead of watching Trump, I'm watching babies. I can choose. So, before the lunch break, let's explore a bit anatta, no self. And the first step is to become a bit more clear about what self does not exist, is unfindable, is an illusion, is the thief in the house, something imagined, something extra. So this is not philosophy, kind of something which is not practical. This is really down to earth and really practical. So I like the word narrative self. So the self which is being recognized as made up is a mixture of what you could call the narrative self, stories, thoughts, all the things you believe you are. And unfortunately, for most of us, it's the I am not good enough self. Something is wrong with me self. Yeah? That's really a mental sickness. It's a parasite. The parasite lives here somewhere. I mean, they found the neurological correlates of that parasite. You can identify it now. You can see it. It's wired into the brain, if you want to use that kind of language. It's a bit harsh to call it parasite because there is something necessary and healthy in that. Yeah. So, but because it is mixed with this, well, it's mixed with many things. But one of them is the I am not good enough self. I'm not lovable as I am self. And it is solidified. It's not recognized as something. You become it. You are identified with it. You look at the world from its perspective. So, if that would be just thoughts, then, I mean, thoughts are, I mean, it would be probably almost more accurate to say that thoughts are nothing than to say that they are something. But what makes them so heavy is a contraction in the body. So the narrative self, and I don't use the word ego. You know? Some people say ego, yeah, but because what we are talking here about is a process which is a mixture of cognitive functions, which you could call selfing, a cognitive process, plus a contraction in your subtle energy. And it's mingled together. So far we don't have a problem. And initially, awakening is not about that is supposed to disappear. I don't know if it will ever disappear, probably not, because part of that contraction is just so hardwired into our neuronal system, the fight-flight response and stuff like that. So I guess even His Holiness the Dalai Lama has a bit of that. The problem is that we identify with it. We make the object, which is thoughts and the contraction in the body, into the subject. That's me. And that process, that mixture of a contraction in the body plus the stories, creates the illusion of the singular, lasting, separate me. So the thief we are talking about, and I said, so in order to say something like this, there is no banana on this table, I need to know how a banana looks like. Yeah? And then, if I know how a banana looks like, I can say for sure, there is no banana on this table. So that's why it's important to understand how the thief looks like. What is it what we refute? What is it what we negate? So we don't negate the social self. We don't negate habits. We don't negate the personality. What we negate is something specific. And that which we negate is something which appears to be lasting. Don't you have that sense? Don't you have a sense that the I who came here this morning is the same I sitting here now? Which is the same I which experienced yesterday, which is the same I which experienced 10 years ago, which is the same I which experienced your childhood, and which will also be the same I which will go to the office on Monday. So that's what is meant with lasting, permanent. It's called permanence. The second characteristic is it's singular, it's one. Yeah, it's me, it's I. It's one. You're talking about one. We are not talking about a process, an open system, a network of mental factors and different teams. We're talking about one. The one, the I, the me, is obvious, right? And the third characteristic is it's separate. It's like this. So we are like a wave in the shoreless ocean of life. Yeah? An open system connected with everything else. And this wave arises from the shoreless ocean of life and then develops the capacity of selfing. And in that moment, there's a collapse, and there is assuming a central position, and the poor wave starts to look out from that central position, that contraction, and sees a world which is separate. And then trouble starts, because what happens with that wave is it thinks something like, oh, I think I'm a bit small. There's the other waves. I'm kind of stuck in that wave, and I look from it, from that imaginary, solid, separate, singular I. So that sense of contraction, that sense of I, obviously is there is a bit of a rhythm in it, like a kind of, probably right now it's, unless you really rebel against what is being said right now, which is to be, that's to be expected. You should kind of rebel against what is being said. Yeah. What is he talking about? Of course, I am the one who makes my decisions. I'm the one who is in charge. This is happening to me. So resistance is to be expected. And that can show up in, this is just philosophy, I've thought about that. Or some tiredness, or I don't want to go there. What has this to do with my life? How does this help me with my anxiety and with my relationship problems? It's just philosophy. Yeah. So the narrative self is very skillful in protecting itself. It lives from that. And it lives from having problems. It lives from taking things serious, particularly itself. It lives from seeking. It lives from, this is not good enough, I want to have something else. That's the food of the narrative self. So there is this rhythm, yeah? And fortunately in our busy life we have a lot of opportunity to feel the I, to feel the me, to feel the defensiveness, to feel the self-importance. The narrative self is only interested in one movie, and that's the movie about yourself. And there's only one visitor in the audience. Nobody else gives a shit about that movie. And soon it will be over. Soon all the things which seem to be so important now for the I will be completely irrelevant. Nobody will be interested anymore in that movie. That's interesting to observe. Yeah? So we're watching this movie. Let's use that as a metaphor. So the movie of your life. What you mainly see is this character which is filling out the whole screen, and that's you. Can you feel it? Like also right now, there is this movie, and a big part of that is about this. So much so that most of the time we don't see the others. We don't see the world. It's blocked out by this huge I, this huge me, which, what about me? What about me? What does this do with me? What do other people think of me? How can I get something out of this for me? There is like, imagine this movie screen in front of you, and everything is blocked by me. And then these beautiful moments when that me, that big me on that screen shrinks. It's still there, but suddenly there's a whole world there also. And there's other people. There's the possibility of service, of connecting, of helping. So the I character becomes smaller on that screen. And with that, the whole world has some space to be recognized. So that sense of I is probably here also right now. Yeah? Like a sense of, yeah, I'm here, and these are my eyes, and I am looking through my eyes into a world which is out there, which is separate from me. This is the central position, and it happens to be the most important central position, because it's me. So what to do? This sense of contraction, of course it also, like in nature, for example, we have moments where that almost disappears. In intimacy, sometimes it just it shrinks. It's not so important. So that's the first step, to become aware of that contraction and become aware of that, and become aware of that extra I, that the made-up I, and the identification with it. So when you become aware of, that's an interesting moment, because then there's two of you. The one who is aware, and that what you're aware of. You could even say, and it's a sentence worth to play with, what you are aware of, you are not. Any disagreement? What you are aware of, you are not. I'm not saying this as a final statement and this is the truth. So I'm not the Buddha, this figure, because I'm aware of it. I'm also aware of this body. Who is aware of this body? I'm aware of this contraction. Who is aware of the contraction? I'm aware of habits. There's habits happening here, likes and dislikes. But who is aware of that? I'm aware of some past, but who is aware of that? From where are you looking when you're aware of yourself? So if there's a contraction which then leads to reaction, who is aware of that? There is something bigger there, right? The narrative self says, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of myself. But that contraction can't be aware. The thoughts, they can't be aware. They are objects of awareness. They are objects of awareness. They are objects of consciousness. Yeah, it's in my brain. But who is aware of that? Who is aware of the brain? This is, this sentence, if you play with it, this sentence is an atomic bomb. What you are aware of, you are not. So you might have any kind of responses to this sentence. Who is aware of those responses? Maybe you are confused, maybe you get sick by it, or what? Who is aware of that? What is aware of that? Do you know that you are upset about what is being said? What is aware of that? So if that separate, unitary, solitary I would exist, it should be findable, right? I mean, only what is findable could exist. Other things we would call fantasy. Yeah? Like a pink elephant in this room, that's a fantasy. Why? Because we can look around and then we can say, no, there is no pink elephant in this room. It does not exist. It is non-existence. It is non-existent. In a way it exists. How? It's made up. So it kind of has a certain level of existence. How? It's made up. It's a fantasy, and the fantasy exists. But it's not real. It's unfindable. So similar here, in a meditative state, we look for that pink elephant of the eye. And because I don't want to confront you, we will do it here. Because not only have you a sense of I somewhere, I don't know, it wanders around, but maybe sometimes it's like behind the eyes, like a sense. Do you have a sense of there is something there looking through eyes, and that's you, and this is your eyes? Isn't there a sense that this is my body, I and my body? Maybe you even wish to have a different body. Oh, I would wish, I would like to have another body. Younger, more sexy. So if that I exists, that I, the owner of the body, the one who is having your thoughts, the I, of course it's my thoughts. I have thoughts. So that I. So if that exists, it should be findable. Like if there's a banana on the table, and I know what a banana is, then I can find it. Oh, this is the banana. There's a banana on the table. So the I, where would I look? for the eye, obviously not on the table. Also, that's also part of the meditation, just to, traditionally, just to exclude that, yeah? So, but it would be silly to, if we now would look for Stephan, probably the best place is somewhere in this little thing, this little meatball, which is quite good because it's not that big. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take long to investigate into this because it's quite small. It's rather small, so that's a good thing. The country where we have to look is not so big. If there's an eye, so what we're looking for is the solid, separate, lasting eye. So we start with the body. And there's different ways to do that. One way is this body, isn't it an amazing community of millions of cells? Can you see it? And these communities, this big community, and let's imagine it's a kind of, there's a boundary around that community. Yeah? In this community, they come together in subgroups. Like there's the heart community, there's the liver community, there's the brain community, and it's doing its thing. It's just keeping this alive. So, and then in a meditative, and maybe tomorrow morning, or I don't know how tired we are this afternoon, but we will do that in a meditation. So, I look around, I search, and all I find is processes and communities and cells. But where's the control center? The owner. So I look, and obviously I don't find it. There is no thief in the house of the body. Then I look into the second possible place, and that's the mind. So if I look at my mind, it's quite amazing. All the stuff going on there. Thoughts, memories, the mental chatter, changing all the time, different feelings coming and going. So I have a similar situation then if I look into the body. I find processes. Connected processes, networks. And in that network process always changing, again, I don't find a center. So I have looked, and I don't find. I find a sense of me, but that's sensation in the body. I find my name, but that's just the name. You worry about something which does not exist. So if someone can set me straight. Is there any obvious mistake in my thinking? And if not, why are you not more impressed? Yeah, there was. Yeah.
I'm just curious. If we're saying if something's capable of being observed, that's not I. It seems like the same truth is everything capable of being observed also is I.
Yeah,
because
both is true.
If I can sense the flowers on the table, there's energy passing between them. Where's the perceptive barrier? So I think both are true.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in Christian mystic it's called the via positiva and the via negativa, and both actually experience the same. They both lead into non-duality. So that's why I said when I said that sentence, I'm not saying it as the absolute truth, as if it is like that. It is just a means of coming to the experience of openness, of connectedness, of non-separation. Yeah.
And also with a separate question, but when you talk about the thief in the house, I'm not quite grasping the theft. What is?
The thief is the imagination of a solid, separate, permanent I.
And so the theft is essentially the idea that, or the existence without that self. Is that the actual? I'm curious what's being stolen.
Yeah. So it's. Yeah, there is not a thief in the eye. There is an imaginary thief in the eye. Thief in the house. An imaginary thief in the house. And in this meditation, this was kind of a meditation. What I get was I went into the house and I realized there is no thief. I was worrying about something which does not exist, which I made up. Yeah. So yeah.
If this does exist, then why?
Do you have a sense it does exist?
Well, why is it not obvious to us that this doesn't exist? When,
Yeah, why is it not obvious to you?
Because I think I exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel I have all my senses. I have all my senses.
There are senses, but we are talking about the I which has the senses. That's what we are talking about. We are not negating senses. We don't negate this experience. We look for the I. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. It's one.
Still, I don't know what to do with all that.
Yeah.
Existence.
With
the non-existence.
With the non-existent.
What do we do with it?
Nothing. You just see it. And in intellectual understanding, that's the beginning. To understand this. And that's quite easy. I mean, it's a bit strange in the beginning, but so if we look into neuropsychology, then it's easy to understand it intellectually, but here in the Buddhist insight, it's not only about understanding it intellectually, but to see it. And we can see it only through doing that searching and not finding it. How can be not finding something be impressive? Yeah. So not finding something which you assume to be there, that can have a big impact. Like, for example, imagine you live in a company and there's someone sitting in the hall and for 20 years you go to that company and every morning this guy is sitting there and greets you. Hey, 20 years, yeah, and suddenly it's gone. That's very impressive. There's nothing there, but it's like, oh, wow. So similar here, that which we instinctively feel is always there. If we search for it, if we look for it, and it's not there, it's like, oh, wow. It's not there. I make it up. And unfortunately, it's not enough to do that once. In very rare cases, maybe you have read the story of Eckhart Tolle. Yeah. If not, it's a good book anyway. But in the beginning of the book, he describes how he came to that place of not finding the I. And for him, it happened like this. He saw it, boom, finished. And then he had to just sit on a park bench for 3 months because it was so glorious. Yes?
You said that the separate self is all, that we shouldn't perceive it as lasting.
It appears as lasting. And so this description is an attempt to describe the banana, so that you can look for the banana and you can come to the conclusion there is no banana. So in the case of the banana, I would say, oh, it's yellow, it has this shape, and yeah, so then then you know what the banana is, and then you can look. And in the case of the eye, what we look at is the body-mind, the 5 skandhas, which is the Buddhist way to forget it.
But you said that there's a sense of self that is the same now as this morning and as 10 years ago. You used that example, and that I wouldn't consider like the separate self, because that is the knowing, right? Which is lasting.
Yeah, I can see what you say.
Because otherwise it would be a series of experiences, and that's not how we perceive ourselves. There is some like lasting knowing of experience.
Yeah, but we are not talking about that self.
No, but it was just this example you used 10 years ago. And
Yeah, but isn't there a sense in you that the person who experienced yesterday, Jens, yesterday is the same Jens as today? So we might, for example, say, yesterday I had a really rotten day. So that I, so what you are referring to is
the awareness
the true self.
that's
You could.
lasting. That which was aware of me having.
That's right.
Day
that's right.
is
But
the same.
yes, that's right. Also, as you have understood right now, I have a bit of resistance to talk like this. Yeah, but that might change. Because right now, again, we're going into trying to describe that which is undescribable. But I know what you're talking about. I have not understood what you're talking about, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So the I, when we say I, if it would land what we are now talking about, that would be awakening. But it doesn't land there usually. When we say I, it lands in the imaginary I.
If it landed in an awareness that was never born and will never die.
That's awakening.
And that's lasting.
That's lasting. In the sense it's not changing. What it is aware of, that changes all the time. But knowingness, witnessing, that is not changing. So that's sometimes a bit challenging for people, because some people, when they connect with I am, they're actually approaching that witness. And then, of course, there is confusion. So when one says I am here, that can be an amazing statement, or it can be completely confusion, depending on where that lands, what the reference object of the sentence I am is. If I am goes like, whew, I am everything and I'm nothing, that would be a moment of non-duality. So the Buddha, or the Dalai Lama also says I. Yeah? So I will give a talk tomorrow. But it means something very different. As if I, from an identification with the narrative self, say, oh wow, I need to give a talk tomorrow. Yes.
So I'm still struggling with this notion of, because if the I that exists dissociated from the present, or from the past, if I'm sort of stepping back, and that's where the lasting I is, isn't it the same truth that if you associate with everything, that's also true? It's a matter of perspective. So the I that's consequential in the moment, that becomes the past, is still I. It seems like they're just shifts in point of view. Lasting I present moment I, past I. It doesn't seem that one's fictional, it seems that they're both true at the same time. And
What is both?
both, meaning like the singular, solid, separate I is also I, simply just from another perspective.
Yes. From a point of view of openness,
It's just not the only I.
yeah. It's not, so it's not the only I. You mean the
The identification with a singular, bounded
yeah.
self
Yeah,
is
we
not the only one.
yeah. If we talk about the true self, that includes this I as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Does that?
Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is aware of that?
I think that's again where it's about perspective. So dissociated is the awareness.
What is aware of perspective?
That part of I. That's where I think it's one of the same. I think it's simply a matter of, do I take present awareness and push it back, step away from it to say I'm observing?
Yeah. So,
Or-
but what is that which is observing? That's a good answer. Yeah. Okay. Since we have very important things to explore, 15 minutes lunch break. No, I'm joking. It's a matter of life and death. What are you doing here? No. Intermediate. Intermittent fasting. That's a very kind thing to do. Yeah? No. Is 1 hour, is that enough? Or? Yeah. Okay, then we continue 2:15 with some practices around peace without cause, with cause. Yeah, I have enough of this. Okay.